unity, and we've had popular requests from our viewers across Africa to focus on Cameroon. And so in this edition of the program, we are going to be talking about fixing Cameroon problems in 90 minutes. We are going to try to use the 90 minutes at our disposal, not only to identify problems, but to fix the problems. And that is going to be a program I would like all of you to watch by going to our Facebook page, My Media Prime, and sharing to as many groups as possible. And also by sending your own contributions wherever you're watching across Africa using the number you find on your screen. You can also watch us on YouTube using BT Media Group on YouTube, and of course you are going to watch us. Our panelists are already there in the studio for us to discuss about this important topic, fixing Cameroon problems in 90 minutes. I use the opportunity to welcome Siaka Shuneh. Siaka Shuneh is Siaka Shuneh. Welcome to the program. This is your first time on 90 Minutes in Africa. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, Boh, I am delighted to be here to join you analyze fundamental political facts that will lead our country, Cameroon, to economic development, socio-cultural development, political development, and what have you. This is my first time being on My Media Prime. I am so grateful for this wonderful opportunity you have given me. And I will join hands with all the other panelists to set the pace forward and see how we can make propositions to solve the problems in our beloved nation, Cameroon.
Thank you so much, Siaka Shuneh. Just to inform you that, this is a Pan-African program, and so we are having viewers from across Africa, our relay channels in Europe, our other relay channels across Africa. So you will try to really explain Cameroon to them in a way that they'll be able to understand. The CPDM, the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, is the ruling party in Cameroon, for those who are watching out of Cameroon. Ndiwum Emmanuel, Mr. Slow and Steady Facts, is a regular guest in this program. Emmanuel, it has been close to 2 months. You've not been guests on 90 Minutes in Africa, and today we are delighted to have you in the panel.
The correction is that it has just been 1 month.
Exactly.
Thank you for inviting me once more. I renew my confidence, my commitment, my attachment to the program 90 Minutes in Africa, and to serve the purpose to which the program projects. I salute all our million viewers watching us in Cameroon, Africa, and the world at large. So it's another opportunity for us today to talk about Cameroon. Cameroon is like a basket of problems, and so we are coming today not to keep discovering the problems, but we want to be talking solutions today. And so it's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, thank you, Juma. Well, Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa is, of course, a regular face here on My Media Prime. He's an apostle, he's an international consultant, and of course, Apostle Ambe is here to talk about this very important topic. Thank you for coming, Apostle Ambe.
Thank you, Elvis. Good afternoon, Cameroonians. Good afternoon, Africans, and welcome to all those who are fixed to their screens across the globe on 90 Minutes in Africa, the most talked about show in the continent of Africa that brings facts and all kinds of analysis to make the continent a better place. Today we are focusing on our beloved country, Cameroon, because this TV station is based in the economic capital of Cameroon, Douala precisely. Fengudrong Bange. Stay glued to your screen as we analyze Cameroon today.
Thank you so much, Apostle Ambe, and of course we are going to be joined in the next 1 minute by Dr. Ako, John Ako, the man who doesn't speak with water in his mouth, who is already with us in the studio. Time for us now, ladies and gentlemen, to also recognize some of our viewers that are watching us. And of course, I find an indication that apparently we have an issue with volume. I would like our technician to take a look at that so that we can have a very, very clean sound for our viewers. That aside, Siaka Shuneh, present Cameroon to those that are watching us from across Africa. If they tell you to present Cameroon, what will you tell them about Cameroon?
That's a very trivial one. Cameroon is a nation located in the Central African Republic. We are bordered to the west, I think, by Nigeria, Chad, Central African Republic, the Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. Cameroon has a square meter area of 475,000 444 meters square with an approximate population of over 25 million. Cameroon is a country that is made up of Anglophones and Francophones who speak two languages. It's a bilingual country. Cameroon was colonized by the British and the French, so we have two languages in this country. Cameroon is globalized and summarized as Africa a miniature. So in a nutshell, that is Cameroon for you, Mr. Boh.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a break to ensure that our technician fixes, to ensure that he takes a look at the sound issue, because apparently we are not having the sound. We are not having sound so far. So we'd like our technician to arrange the sound issue. Okay, thank you. Our technician says everything is okay. We have Dr. Akojon Ako, who is just joining us in the studio. Dr. Akojon, thank you so much for coming to 90 Minutes in Africa.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Once more again, on the Square program, 90 Minutes in Africa, to discuss issues affecting Cameroon particularly, though we have known that in 90 Minutes in Africa, we always look at what happens in other African countries. Cameroon is peculiar, celebrating 50 years of national unity, and a country with more than 250 ethnic groups, tribal languages, and referred to as Africa in miniature. It is shocking that almost 70 years after independence, the country called Cameroon has not emerged on the world stage, but remains a monopoly of some few against the majority. What has caused the problem, one can't tell, but it remains spiritual. It remains more of man-made errors that have lured the country into the standard that Cameroonians become enemies to their own very country. It is really sad that we are celebrating 50 years propagated by the ruling party of the CPDM that has been in power since 1982, with a lot of propaganda being made around that same political party. He has offered little or nothing for Cameroonians, but more political research to maintain itself in power and then kill the spirit of oneness, the spirit of togetherness. That spirit of indivisibility today has become divisible, with other factions and other tribes thinking they are better off than others, and others feel alienated to the background and just considered as what we call spectators to the political movement and economic changes that make up the country.
Thank you, Dr. Akojon Ako. The essence of this program is to ensure that our decision makers, of course, those who are at the helm of power in Yaoundé, can be able to listen to the plight of the people and also listen to some of the solutions suggested by our cream of experienced panelists and consultants, so that they can be able to use the ideas put at their disposal to take the nation forward. Emmanuel, of course, we are not going to spend a lot of time today talking about problems. We're going to spend most of the time talking about solutions. But we are going to spend about 30 minutes or 35 to talk about the problem so far. And one of the problems we have identified in Cameroon has been the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions, which has crippled Cameroon. So how has the conflict crippled Cameroon politically?
Well, you see, that is just one of the various problems that Cameroon as a country is going through. If we were to look at how it has crippled Cameroon politically, the first thing is that every cloud has a silver lining. This war has acted as a silver lining for us to discover the weaknesses, the loopholes of the CPDM party in power. You see, it has once more taught Cameroonians that for 39 years, what the CPDM regime has been telling the people is not what has been obtaining in the field. If not, we wouldn't have been in war today, because, look, at one point when we started asking questions, they gave us names as enemies of the state, secessionists, terrorists. Today, I want to think that if those people are watching us, they should have a different redefinition of the terms that they have used to actually make this war to be where it is today. They say somebody who asks a question for a minute is a fool. But those who do not ask at all forever are fools for life. That is exactly why we are on this platform today. On the political scene, you have discovered that In essence, there has never been multipartyism in Cameroon. Because if there was multipartyism in Cameroon, in the case of the war in Northwest and Southwest, the political parties would have been able to come together as one man and serve a common purpose, which is the life of the nation. We have seen that during this war, they have instead been more divided than ever before, or than we ever imagined. If at all there was ever a time in Cameroon that the opposition and the ruling party in power could show to Cameroonians that they were for the common good of the people, it would have been this time. But we have not seen it coming. We have instead seen those who rose up to speak for the people were chased out, like Honorable Wiba. We have seen the case of those who are in prison today because of their opinions. And I think you have also seen a certain party in this country whose militants are languishing in jail today because their militants stood up one morning and they were raising placards saying no to the war in Northwest and Southwest. So politically, we think our country is not in good shape.
Thank you, Ndiwum. Well, let's get to Siaka Shuneh now. We still identify some of the problems, and one of the problems that our viewers have identified, those who wrote to me, they have identified the fact that according to them, Cameroon has failed in the domain of justice and accountability. Can you expand more on that?
Yes, Boh, I want to start by declaring here that I am a bona fide member of the CPDM political party, led by its fantastic and visionary leader, His Excellency Paul Biya, and that I am sojourned in this emporium today as a political analyst, not mandated by my party to come and speak here on behalf of the party, but as a member of this party, I have to defend all the pros and cons of this party and the government in place. Your question is, the government,
accusations that the government of Cameroon has failed in the domain of justice and accountability.
Yes.
Identified as a problem.
I want to say that if being a member of the CPDM means standing for justice and equality, I am a CPDM militant. If being a member of the CPDM means standing for accountability, then I am a CPDM militant. As a matter of fact, Mr. Ndiwum said every dark cloud has got a silver lining. In terms of accountability, I think some years behind, Cameroon was criticized for corruption, that embezzlement by top officials, and His Excellency Paul Biya came up and said, "Où sont les preuves?" A few years later, he got the proofs, and he proceeded to create the National Commission Against Corruption, CONAC. And we can say here without any fear of contradiction or compromise that Cameroon is the only country where the president is audacious enough to put 2 of his prime ministers and ministers in prison. I think that was a bold decision to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that he accepted that there was corruption, and he went forward to reprimand corruption, and he has put his ministers in prison for corruption. And in terms of accountability, this is a proof that some of these members of the government were not accountable enough, and he reprimanded them and put them in jail. And corruption is as old as prostitution. Corruption is as old as prostitution. And you know it is very difficult, even in the United States of America, where they boast to be the biggest and most perfect democracy in the world, you have corruption there. You still have mismanagement at those high levels. I want to say that it is a very difficult process to fight corruption. It is a very difficult process to institute accountability, but I think they have gone a long way to do it, and they are going a long way to fight it, thinking that with time we will come to perfection.
Thank you, Siaka Shuneh. Again, now to Apostle Ambe, of course, because we are looking at Cameroon in its entirety, from the north, south, east, and west. I want you to focus one of the problems, you know, of Mouvement 10 millions de nodis, you know, of that movement. And of course, what are some of the problems that are faced in the northern part of the country which can threaten national unity in future?
Yes, Elvis, Cameroon has so many problems. And we are not here actually to emphasize the number of problems we have. We'll talk about the solutions, because we've been singing the problems, and the authorities that seem not to even know if there are problems. The worst thing that can happen to a man is that he is sick and is not aware that he is sick. Our nation is sick, and the nation is not aware that he is sick. I want to talk about the movement 11 million de Nordistes. It's talk about the splinter groups in the country that are trying to secede from different angles. They want autonomy. And if at all they say we united in 1972 and we are one and indivisible Cameroon, I think these splinter groups would not have come up like the Tontinas, the Sardinas, the 11 million de Nordistes, the Anglophones, the Francophones, the Anglophiles. This country is more divided than ever before. And if we have to talk about regional integration, social cohesion, and unity. That's one of the sickness we have in the country. The unity is not because we're in the same place. You can be in a union but not in unity. You can be in uniformity but not in unity. All of us can go to the same school, wear the same uniform. That doesn't mean we are united. We can still be in the same surface area called Cameroon. We can speak the same language, and we probably might not be united. Unity definitely goes beyond the coming together of individuals. It goes beyond us dressing the same way. It goes beyond us speaking the same language. And when we start laying emphasis on unity based on the language we speak, the culture we have, the environment we stay, it's an error of monumental proportion. I think unity should be observed critically on the ability to share what we have. If we are united, we share what we have. If we are united, we go through pains together. If we are united, what pains you have to pain me, and what pain me has to pain you. If at all we say we are united and somebody's pain does not concern the other person, it means we are not united. We are in a union. We are in uniformity. That's the reason why children can go into a school campus in the morning wearing the same uniform. For instance, let's say Blend de Bonaberry, all of them are in a uniform. But those who are united will share the bread they came with in the morning. And so what we have in Cameroon is uniformity and not unity. And that is something we have to treat effectively in this country. That is the reason why there is a lot of splinter groups in the country. Everybody is trying to secede because there is uniformity, that we live on this surface area called Cameroon. We speak that same language called English and French. We probably have similarities in our attire, the way we dress, and probably we have the same flag, the same coat of arms. We have the same seal. Those things make people feel like these are symbols of unity. But in the actual sense, all those emblems doesn't make us unite. The actual unity is that if at all I should come to Douala and the streets are dirty, and I'm from Northwest, I should pick that dirt in the street, not because I am a man from Douala, but because I am a Cameroonian. If I go to Yaoundé and there is no water, I should provide water, not because I come from Yaoundé, but because I am a Cameroonian. But we live in a society where the Yaoundé man wants to clean Yaoundé street and doesn't want to touch Douala street. And the Douala man wants to touch Douala street, doesn't touch Bamenda street. If at all Cameroon was Cameroon, then Babajo Bamenda Road was not supposed to be the way it is right now, because that is Cameroon, not Bamenda. It should be considered as Cameroon, not Bamenda. And that particular demography, if recorded and put in a tape, then the nation Cameroon will be insulted, not the town Bamenda. It goes to other places in the country. So when we are talking about unity, it should be far beyond this coat of arms, this flag we are carrying, the symbol and the seals and there and there. The common army, the common language, the common culture. That is not unity. Unity here is the capacity to share the national budget evenly, to give equal opportunities for every individual to ascertain positions in the country, and also to give each and everyone the right to enjoy the national cake. Actually, true unity is when you eat together, not when you live together.
Thank you, Apostle Ambe. Time for us now, ladies and gentlemen, to recognize our social media viewers. Greetings to you, Israel Abongwa. Greetings to Kema Noridin. Greetings to Jemete Kudi, Fali Joel. Greetings to Miki Fomukong. Greetings to Tamunting Robinson Nongo. Greetings to you, Carmen Delgado. Greetings to Mezozo Mano. And greetings to Makia Valentine and others that are still writing. Please just make sure that right now we are talking about problems, and in the next 20 minutes, we are going to be through with problems and move into solutions. So just begin to identify the problems that you think we might have missed in the course of our analysis here in the studio. Let's now move to our legal guru, Dr. John Ako. Dr. Ako John Ako, the Constitution of Cameroon gives the green light for a candidate in power to be elected and re-elected as many times as possible, so long as the people want him to be in power. Do you think this is a problem for the nation?
One of the things we need to look, first of all, if that was the primary position of that constitution from 1972 to 1996. In 1996, the constitution stated that the president shall be elected for a 5-year mandate, renewable once. And after 1996, we were thinking that the government could even go by reducing, because the term of mandate, 5 years, was too long for Cameroonians to really see a president stay in power. But since this particular position did not comfort the ruling party that had that quest, I said, remember in my first proposal was that there is no research the CPDM party has done but searching on how to stay in power. Their durability or sustainability politically has kept Cameroonians on a standstill, has kept the state of Cameroon on a standstill. One of that provision in the constitution that has made the political atmosphere in Cameroon not to change is what we call the renewable tendency of that particular mandate of the president, which is set renewable as many times as possible. Who do we renew? Who is renewing? And what have we renewed? If you ask those who really, I have Mr. Shuneh here, he's a political member of the CPDM party, that they were elected in 1992. What was the agenda of the CPDM party that made them being elected? Because we elect people on what we call political, economic, and social manifesto. And now we came again. In 2007, they were elected. They said they won elections with outright majority. We are in 2018. What has the CPDM done? The only thing is to blind off Cameroonians with what we call big propagandas or a grammatic expression. They will tell you grand realization, greater achievement, emergence 2035. Do you look at this country as a country that is about emerging in 2035? We are just few years. These statements were made about 15 years ago. A country that is about to emerge. The leadership in position. What get irrenewable? You are being renewed because the people feel that you have succeeded in implementing your political, economic, social, and cultural objectives within your manifesto. Remember, some people were not aware, when Barack Obama was going in for a second mandate at the US for the US presidency, a student asked him at the University of Columbia, Mr. President, what have you done that you merit my vote? He said, in 2008, I elected you, knowing very well that you had a lot for Americans. 4 years after, now that I'm talking to you, I haven't decided who to vote. Mr. President, where and what do you think you have done that you merit my second vote? And the president started listing. He listed a lot of things. I made America when employment was down. I made America when the financial situation was poor. I made America when there was no employment. So within it, my foreign policy, I said I will get this. Guantanamo, we manage it down, we close it down, we shut. All this has been done, and I believe at this extent, I need a second mandate to complete my project on Obamacare, which was going to be a general insurance coverage for all. And when a president can list his successes in this level, it gives the people the feeling that he merited that. While at Addis Ababa, at the African Union Summit, President Barack Obama told African leaders that the moment you rule for so long most often they have their excuse that they don't have somebody who can replace them. He said the first step, the first failure of a leader is that you don't have somebody that can take after you. And you will see with what Barack Obama did. His two vice president and secretary of state have attempted becoming president of the United States, which means while they were at the White House together with Hillary Clinton was the secretary general. She attempted to become the president. Joe Biden, now the present president, was the vice president Obama. This is how we prepare leadership. But you cannot be for 40 years because you said the constitution, and they will tell you the force vive de la nation. That force vive de la nation is the use of the armed forces. Cameroonians have been, in fact, intimidated by the military because, like I said some time ago, we use the military to appropriate political power. That those who are in power at any time, since we have a military that is said to be Republican, but which is partisan, and know that the moment you change power, you don't know what becomes tomorrow. They are the best and highest paid. Teachers were on the street the other day because salaries don't come on time. Military people have never complained of their salaries. Teachers are the witnesses, in fact, those who suffer the plight of absolute power. Machiavelli said, corrupts absolutely. 40 years in power because you say the constitution permitted you. Even when the referee, you own it, the linesmen belong to you, the commission of FIFA and CAF, you manage them. And you still come out to tell us that you want such election. It would have been declared a kingdom, there is no problem. In a kingdom, there is still democracy. When you go to the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, when you go to the kingdom like that in United Arab Emirates, the leadership in place, like in Morocco, they are accountable to their people. They are accountable to their people. They are seeing the energy. When you go to the United Kingdom, the queen sits very firm. Politicians play their role. That is the strength of democracy. It is not by a political precision which Africans always maneuver it to favor their ill or poor intention of keeping power absolutely. Renewal of the mandate of the president wouldn't have equally been a problem if the people feel, because there is some people even said that longevity in power at times gives experience, and that they will be, you gather a lot of experience as you stay more in power, but one can never say living in power is proper for a country like Cameroon that even present little or nothing. I was happy when Mr. Shuneh said he's a more courageous leader they had, that 2 of his prime ministers are in prison. Some people think it's a positive, a past mark for sending those close collaborators of yours in prison. Institutions are built. Institutions are made for control of power. Institutions are made to dictate crimes and offenses. And institutions are made to deter people from even getting into. We have Article 66 of the Cameroon Constitution. If you get it, you read it. That the members of government and everybody sanctioned as such has a duty to declare their assets. Creating of CONAC was not even part of fighting corruption. If we want to start with corruption, we start with the leadership. President Pobia should declare his assets, then the others will follow. From the time you were the delegate, we knew how many children we were having, where they were going to school, how many cars you had, how many homes you had, what bank account you had. Declare it to Cameroonians, and at the end of every mandate, before even presenting the next, you should tell us how much you are still having. If your children were at GHS, they were at Lycée Bilingue Moliko, and we realize now that after your appointment, they are now at Oxford and Cambridge, then something is not going right. There is a lot of what I said. That particular provision is one of the diseases that Cameroon is undergoing. Renewal of term of mandate without accountability to their people. And their political opponents are taken as enemies or non-patriot to the state because you want to still maintain in power. These are all the caprices within the present regime.
Thank you, Dr. Kojonako. We want to finalize with some of the political problems we've identified so far, so that we move to economic, social very fast, and then we go straight to the point and start fixing Cameroon problems. It's going to be 90 minutes. Ndiwum Emmanuel, I want you to talk about, a viewer says he wants you to comment about the recycling of the political elite and their sons and daughters in Cameroon. So it appears that the same people keep being recycled day in, day out in positions of responsibility, and probably too, while in positions of responsibility, of course, they make sure that their children are also, are made to be successors. And that makes the man on the street, or probably those in villages, those who don't have people in positions of responsibility, to find it difficult to also enjoy benefits that everyone was supposed to enjoy in the nation.
Wow. I think, thank that viewer for that question. You see, that viewer should be what we defined as a patriot in Cameroon, not a press singer. Somebody who has loved the country. He has been so observant, and he has discovered that there are a lot of things killing his nation. Now, to go to that question, you see, his observation is as good as mine, Dr. Ako, Apostle Ambe, and Mr. Shuneh, even if he does not say it out. That is what has killed Cameroon. That we are in the same country, but some people are more Cameroonian than others. We are in the same country where we have ministers whose children do not study in Cameroon, but they are given the responsibility to build schools in Cameroon. And you finally discover that our children are learning under trees. In communities like in Northwest and Southwest, where the indirect rule taught them that the development of every country came from the contribution of the local communities. You will discover that most schools there are obviously almost always started as community schools. The government only comes to sign an official document to officialize the name of the school. But the school is never been equipped. That's one. Two, when you look at it from the point of social justice, I want to tell you that in this country, if you are from a poor background and you have a case that you have to go to court, know that you are a cockroach going to the court to meet the cock. And obviously the outcome, the result is already known, because it suffices that a minister's daughter or son slaps Ndiwum, and Ndiwum has no connection. I run to the court, and the father or the son never even passes there. It takes a call for the case to be dismissed, and maybe by some divine mercy still allow me to walk free. Or in one bad morning, he thinks of Ndiwum ever even calling the name of the son or the daughter, and then throws me into jail. Those are facts.
After you've been slapped?
After I've been slapped. Those are facts in Cameroon. We have seen situations in this country where a poor man has a land. These products from Enam that are trained to destroy Cameroon, called the SDOs and the DOs, they grab these lands and they make sure that they own the land. They build houses to put on rentages, whereas that poor man does not have a hut. He had only a land that he could even construct a thatched house there. So that goes to say, in Cameroon, it is who you are, not what you are. If you are in a position in Cameroon, it is no secret that concours in Cameroon like Enam, ENS, and said, you go in with a particular sum. It is no longer a secret. They know themselves. We even have sons and daughters of some authorities in this country that went to Enam, and all the time they were enjoying in US, France, and elsewhere, and they never set their feet into the school, into that school of magistracy called Enam. But at the end of the day, they graduated in flying colors. We have governors in this country who have obtained Master 1, Masters 2 without going to school, just for the fact that they are governors in a particular region. So those are the things I think some of our viewers have been very keen about. And so I thank you for that question. So in summary, Cameroon belongs to a few privileged persons, while the majority is wallowing in poverty. And that is why Cameroon finds itself where it is. Because what kills a nation are not bigger things. What kills a nation are little things that are not being handled properly.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I think now it's time for Siaka Shuneh to talk. I don't know if our producer is ready. I would like him to play an excerpt of circulation around Tunel Ndokoti so that Mr. Siaka Shuneh can comment about it. If it's ready, I don't know whether it's ready, Eli, Ewane, of course, okay. Thank you, Eli Ewane. Those are images captured around Tunel Ndokoti, and of course, we are identifying problems, Mr. Shuneh. It appears that based on those images, that's a circulation problem in Douala around Tunel Ndokoti, and for a country to be an emerging country by 2035, it will be good for us to have good roads. But apparently, imagine this stretch of road in 2035. So, do you see that as a problem for the country?
Yes, I followed those images with a lot of keen interest. Something struck my imagination. What I saw there, that I saw traffic lights, ultramodern traffic lights. I saw it there. We have a problem of urban disorder in Cameroon. We have a problem of education in Cameroon. You find traffic lights there, and nobody is ready to respect the traffic lights. Everybody in Dokoti is in a haste. I used to ask myself whether there are demons who operate in Dokoti. Everybody is in a haste. You have the police, nobody respects the police. Nobody respects the police. You have traffic officers there, nobody takes orders from the traffic officers. Everybody there is a boss. Everybody is in a rush. As a matter of fact, I am privileged to have traveled around the world. I have been to India, where just one state in India is the population of the whole nation of Cameroon. We have streets in India that are smaller than this one, and the people respect traffic lights. The people respect police officers, traffic police who are on the way. Because the issue here with this image, Mr. Ndiwum, is not that the road network is not good. The road network is excellent. The traffic lights are there. But you have people who have decided to rebel against their own nation by refusing to respect simple rules and regulations. So, for me, I don't find any problem. I see a problem with the citizens of this nation. We need to educate Cameroonians. We need to restructure Cameroonians. We need to refine the brains of Cameroonians, especially residents of Douala. They are always in the haste over nothing. And everybody is a boss. If you remember, some months ago, if not of the fact that the Minister of Territorial Administration, His Excellency Atanganji, came out and threatened drivers, road users were beating police people every day in the streets. You saw it. So the problem is a problem of educating Cameroonians on respecting. We want to grow. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
You mean all Cameroonians like that, Mr. Shuneh?
I mean that when you see what is transpiring in Carrefour Dokoti, it is out of sheer stubbornness. Some is ignorance. Because it is inadmissible that you have traffic lights, green you pass, red you stop, but the bikers don't respect it. They say it is for those who have cars. And then when they cause chaos like that, we want to turn around and blame the government. What do you want the government to do? To step down now and arrest those who are not respecting the traffic lights, and they'll turn around and say it's a government of torture, that they are torturing their citizens? What I just have to say is that I think that the councils can organize open doors to be able to educate people on how to respect traffic lights and all those things to avoid all this type of unnecessary congestion that is dirtying the image of this country.
Thank you, Siaka Shuneh. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa, I want you to be through with the economic issues. Of course, we will first of all begin by commenting on these images. I want to get your own reading. And of course, I would also love for you to talk about, to identify problems related to our debt burden, and also identify problems related to the neglect of the agricultural sector, which seems to be slowing the development of the nation, and also problems related to power cuts and its impact on the economy. So I want you to identify economic problems, but beginning by having a reading of, because this is an image and everybody has the right to read it the way he or she sees it, the reading of the situation at Tunnel Dokoti.
Yes, you know, CBDMPO always have something to say, to defend their Lord and Savior as well as a political party. There are police officers in that Ndokoti who are there to maintain law and order, except they were not properly trained. They have right to firearms, that if they want to set order, they will set order. If police people want to beat people from carrying protests, they don't have challenge. They have a challenge in controlling those who are violating traffic. When they were arresting people who were doing protests freely in Cameroon, did the police people fail to do their job? There are many people in prison that police carried their firearms, intimidated them in crowds which were even huger than this one, and they arrested those people. So the police are very effective in torturing people and arresting them and throw them in prison. When it comes to managing a small crowd like this in Dokoti, their firearms have gone obsolete. So Mr. Shuneh is just defending his party. This is gross irresponsibility. Number two, look at the surface area of the road there. It tells you that we don't have sufficient roads there. Look at the population and the crowd and the number of vehicles. Then look at that thing that looks like a footpath. These things are bush roads in Europe and America. These are bush farm. These are farm to market roads. And you make it at the center of a city. That place is not well developed. You will not see such a road like this in Paris. Mr. Shuneh has not traveled alone. We have traveled. Even you go, let's not call Europe. Europe is more advanced. You go to Abuja, you will not see this kind of footpath in the center of a town. So it is poor town planning on the part of the government, poor road construction, and bad security. Because police people cannot be present somewhere and there's congestion. They cannot be present somewhere and things are not going anywhere with firearms in their pocket. That's said and done. Coming back to other issues, economic issues in Cameroon, first and foremost, Cameroon does not know its strength. I don't know if they know it and they want to use it. Almost everybody focuses on petrol in Cameroon. Petrol has a very minute contribution to the economy of Cameroon. When the days of Ahijo were still here, Ahijo believed in the Green Revolution, knowing that agriculture is the backbone of the Cameroonian economy. But I let you understand that we have not invested anything when it comes to agriculture in this country. I explain this. Almost about 42 billion worth of pork is imported in this country every year. We import onion for at least 4 to 6 billion every year. But Cameroon happens to be the miniature of Africa. You go to the north, all root crops grow there, from garlic to ginger to onion. You come to the southwest, all kinds of cash crops go there. You go to the east, all kinds of trees that produce timber and the rest in the south. That tells you that Cameroon is an embodiment of everything you are looking for in Africa. And if Cameroon emphasizes in the domain of agriculture, we are going to be outstanding. The challenge we have in Cameroon is that we have a lot of theories without practical. Almost all our agronomists don't own farms. They lecture agronomy in the university, but they don't own farms in Cameroon. The Dangote is not an agronomist, yet he has bought a 17,000 hectares land in the north of Nigeria to cultivate tomatoes, so much so that they want to block the supply of tomato from Cameroon to Nigeria. That is a business-oriented mentality. You don't go to school to come back and lecture. You go to school to come back and contribute to the society. Oh, yes. We have a serious deficiency when it comes to playing to our strength. Everything in Cameroon grows. In places like Israel, they ration water to water crops because the place is a desert. Yet Israel supplies tomato in the way more than Cameroon. Israel is strong in horticulture, which is the cultivation of flowers. Israel is very strong in viticulture, which is the cultivation of vine fruits. Why? It's a desert. If you go to Israel, they don't water crops, they will water crops here. They will take a bucket of water in Cameroon and pour under a stem of plantain. But in Israel, they will connect pipes that if it is 1 liter that particular crop needs at that time, they will ration the water because they don't have the water. Yet a country in the desert that even has to chemicalize its seedlings for they plant them, they are making impact more than others. If you eat pawpaw and throw it by arrow, it grows. You eat mango and you throw by arrow anywhere, it grows. Food grows in Cameroon. Go to Bamenda. Every cereal you can imagine on this earth grows in Bamenda. So what do you want to tell me? If at all we keep focusing that Perenco is here, Friedlander is here to exploit petrol, and the focus of the nation is drilling towards petroleum, which is not our strength, we are a failure in that area. I think we don't know our strength. That's why we have an economic deficiency. Thailand happens to be a country that depends on solely nothing but agriculture. They had a king who died at the age of 26 years. He's a man that was a Buddhist that used to meditate for 22 hours a day to combat with agricultural ideology that developed Thailand. Thailand is the best in the world today in agriculture because Thailand had a king that had a vision. Thailand has 77 provinces, and each of those provinces, there is a presidency in those provinces. One of the provinces had a challenge where the men were cultivating opium and Indian hemp, marijuana. The president went and stationed in the presidency in that region and stayed there for 7 years, teaching the importance of neutralizing the production of opium as well as marijuana and start producing coffee. After 7 years, that particular province became the strongest in coffee production in that country. What are the agricultural research we carry in the different regions of the country to make sure we boost the flow of agriculture in the country? We don't know our strength. Coming back to the consistent cuts of light. It is so bad, I repeat, it's so bad that we take things like electricity, and give it in the hands of men who are coming to me for business. Electricity is going to be a social amenity in this country, where we are going to be paying bills at a very minute rate, because those are the privileges you have in the country. But what is happening? We have carried the electricity and given in the hands of British people anew. Those are people who are strictly for business. Number two, the power supply in this country is distributed in other countries. We have conducted Lompanga Dam, Memvele Dam, yet we are not giving any sufficient electricity in the country. That tells you that we who own the electricity, we don't even benefit the electricity. To give you a clear example, throughout AFCON, there was no light seizure. Why was there no light seizure? It's to tell you that power is sufficient in this Cameroon, yet it is rationed and sold somewhere else. Why would you have full light control during the period of the Nations Cup? It is to make you understand that we, the privileged citizens of this country, we are not given the opportunity to exploit and enjoy what God has given us as natural resources. Going to Northwest Province, we have the mention 4 there that can generate electricity. I was saying one time on this television that every region of the country has its uniqueness, and we should develop those regions based on their capacity. If you go to Nigeria, you are talking about a Burukatu Ranch. It's talking about the area of the south-south. If you're talking about breaking of rocks, you can go to the north, where you have quarries there. If you want to talk about yam in Nigeria, go to Benue State. That's the food basket of the country. Cameroon has, every region has a unique opportunity, unique physical features, unique soil, unique minerals under the ground, that if the government chooses to use the strength of every region to develop every region, Cameroon will be a heaven on this earth. So I think the problem is management. That's why I said, and I'm still repeating, a nation does not go ahead because it has a head of state. A nation goes ahead because it has an ahead of state. You can be the head and you are not going ahead. We should stop having head of state and start having a head of state.
Thank you so much, Apostle Ambe Valentine. Of course, some of our viewers from Nigeria are writing, asking us when are we going to fix Nigeria, and I want to tell them that we are going to organize a show with Apostle Ambe and my other panelists to fix Nigeria in 90 minutes. So it's not only about Cameroon. We are going to be going to each African country to fix the nations. Dr. Ako Jonako, I want you to identify the last problem from the social perspective, and we'll move straight to solutions so that we can respect our timing. Problems related to social tension, Tongtina and Sadina, tribal remarks, derogatory statements about one's origins, and also some people who don't even talk. We are talking here about pygmies. They seem not to be included in the decision-making process. Meanwhile, they are the original inhabitants of Cameroon.
Yeah, you have something there. We talk of social cohesion. Social cohesion has been in difficulty since the New Deal government took power, and within that New Deal government, we were told that Cameroon was going to be one and indivisible, and that we are going to consider sons and daughters of the same nation to which we belong. Today we find a lot of them as a political agenda to cut division, and you will equally understand with me that one of the instruments used by the colonial masters was what we call divide and rule. And the government today, after profiting from the whole nation, thinks that there is need to put others ahead who are from the same region, from the same area, where your brother or your sister, either he has the capability or not, the capacity or not, the skills or not, but the fact that it's your brother, you need to promote him. And to deter, to keep others away from power, one of the things we need to tell them is that they don't belong to the central government and that power will never come to them. You will see it if this was the basis, if this were the basis under which the founding parents of this nation constructed the nation. I believe the present president was not even fit to become the president of the republic. But it gives us again today that 40 years in power has cost Cameroonians a lot politically, socially. Cameroonians feel unsecured. People have been beaten in Saint-Malima. When they are beaten in the Northwest, they are arrested and sent to jail. When properties of individuals are destroyed, such people are picked up by the police, like we just said here. They are very strong to intimidate civilians when they are in their domain of right, but unable to intimidate those who cause offenses if it is in support of the party in power. Somebody was borrowed Cameroonians taxpayers' money, and at the time of asking him to pay taxes over the same money we borrowed to him, we have seen a lot of letters from the central government to their own brothers to construct economy. They failed to construct, they even failed to pay taxes. How can an individual be owing taxes worth 18 billion? 18 billion. I mean, for how many years, Cameroonians don't know, but you find this tussle because now they feel like that particular person might not be towing the line. It's not standing according to the rules and the mathematics which that loan was given. You've made some Cameroonians feel that state resources, state power, energy, and means are only reserved to a group of some and that others can have. We are talking of the state budget. If you need that the country should be united, the budget for the South region is a budget 3 times more than that allocated for the Northwest and the Southwest region. And you want the country to be one and indivisible. You have all the dams. We are talking of the Mevede, the Lombanga, we are talking of the Naktigal. None of this project is found in the Northwest or the Southwest to tell us that only one area can produce and that the others mean nothing. We are talking of the second port of Cameroon, the Kribi deep sea port, which was lifted up from Limbe and transferred to Kribi. What do you intend to create? You are creating internal squabbles and making the other say. We are talking of the police school academy. Before President Ahmadu Ahidjo handed this country, there was one national police academy which was based in Mutengene, and that it trains all Cameroonians. But the moment we came to power, in order not to give power to those regions, for them not to mean anything, we created now the school of police officers, commissioners, yes, national whatsoever in Yaoundé. And this is the one that has the powers. And so they train the commissioners there, the officers, they are there. Now this way, the local man will tell you that the Sangalongs, the Jepe, those who are just meant for local work. This is where they train them. You go the place is bushy. You need to pass around the national the police school academy in Mutengene. It does not resemble anything, which means that the better part, there was Ambe, something which people never knew. The Ambe that we look at the School of Science and Technology for Southern Cameroon today was transferred to National School Polytech Yaoundé. You look at the structure in Yaoundé and look at Ambe. It gives you that there is even enough to have quarrel, fight, if not beating. We need to fight one another because internally the tension is too high and we are unable to break even. We are unable to even tender to for a Cameroonian administrative official to tell you that we are sorry, we committed an error. Never. They will send military after you. They will flog you, beat you, torture you, kill you, even when you are on your right. You don't find that in any other regime. I was just watching events unfolding in Catalonia and in Barcelona when they were equally trying to claim autonomy. The response of the military, it was just flocking of people. I mean, nobody died. But I was surprised after 2 weeks, government tendered a public apology to the people of Catalonia that they are sorry for the excessive use of force. I said, my God, a country is apologizing to another region for excessive use of force. Here we have been killed. We have not seen a national day of mourning. If we are one, I'm telling you that without internal sanction, just imagine the head of state coming on the national day like this one to recognize that if you are a member of our country, your finger, once your finger is in pain, the whole body should be in pains. And so which means that an issue that affects one part of Cameroon, we need to take it as a national issue. And that we need to get into solutions about it. I saw, imagine what the Pope did. You could not even imagine what the Pope did to reconcile fighting fractions in South Sudan. You had that image. That the Pope could go down to lick the shoes, dirty shoes of some neglected African leaders just to bring peace in that area. Then you find your own people, your own people are being killed. And you call them what? You give them names. Terrorists, and Bazuzu, and Baful, and all the like. But these are your people you are called to govern. Jesus Christ said he has a problem when one of his sheep is in problem. The 99 he does not care about 99 good things. But one which is in difficulty, that is my concern. If we feel that the nation belongs to all, if one part of the nation is affected, politically, everybody, every Cameroonian can become whosoever he intends to have. Some positions cannot be reserved for other people. Imagine that. What do you want? Internally, we are sick. Because your brother will never be the Minister of Finance. Your brother will never be Secretary General of the Presidency. Your brother will never be the Minister of Defense. There are some positions that are reserved for a group of people. I don't know whether they have a very high IQ or they went to most standard or outstandard schools that some can never go, or they have the charisma that others can never. We need to get, if you are constructing a nation, like the preamble of the U.S. Amendment Constitution, that every human being born on earth in the United States has right, dignity and a right to acquire any position as far as you live within the United States. Can we equally be proud to say every Cameroonian born of a human being can acquire and attain any political position as he is born in dignity and right? Do we have that here? No. Today we are even shocked that some people claimed that their leader is a natural candidate. And so maybe after the natural candidate, the country will not go further. Just imagine such slogans when they come from learned people, professors, those who think they are supposed to be the thinking tank, the way forward of the nation. But we are shocked that a lot of academicians in Cameroon have derailed the state. They have instead dragged Cameroon to a level, instead fighting for stomach problems rather than fixing the nation.
Thank you, Dr. Kojanako. Let us get to Siaka Shuneh right now to talk about what they have been doing, because we are now into solutions. I think we have the next 35 minutes, but no problem. I think we are able to fix Cameroonian problems in 35 minutes, because we have already identified most of the problems already. So it's time for solutions, Mr. Siaka Shuneh. Of course, one of the things that needs to be fixed, as according to what viewers are writing to me, is that we need to fix accession to the helm of the state. As someone said, federation could still be a pretext, because someone was talking about federation being a solution. And according to Konam, who is one of the panelists in 90 Minutes in Africa, he said federation could still be a pretext to decry marginalization, because the federal government will still enjoy a considerable amount of power. So can we therefore say now, Mr. Shuneh, that alternation at the helm of the state, that is 2 mandates for someone from the northwest and southwest, 2 mandates for someone from the French region, can that be an acceptable solution to power sharing in Cameroon? That is, power sharing, can it be an acceptable solution in the country?
Yes, of course, Boh, but before I dive into that analysis, I just want to make a comment on what my comrade here, Dr. Ako, just said. We cannot continue to live in self-denial. We cannot continue to live in self-denial and disregard for policies that have been put in place to bring national cohesion, integrity, and unity in this nation. I think a few months ago, or sometime last year, when the President of the Republic called for a national dialogue. This national dialogue, he recognized that there was a problem. He called this national dialogue, so together we could sit and brainstorm and find a way forward. But when we continue to live in history, when we continue to quote political facts, historical facts that have been negotiated and discussed upon in a professional panel, it's like we are living in total self-denial. These things happened some years behind, and along the line solutions have been proposed, and we are in the continuous process of dialogue to see how we can bring unity and development in this country. When we continue in this attitude that it is not Republican, and so that is not any show of proof of patriotism. And then coming into your question, I think solutions to make a way forward in this nation are political, economic, sociocultural, and developmental. Politically, you know that succession in this country is out of disrespect for the 1961 Federal Constitution. If that constitution was not violated, we will not find ourselves where we are today. But I think we cannot hang on history. We have to seek a way forward. Where we find ourselves now is we have a constitution that was adopted in the National Assembly. I want to implore that we youths of this nation, we should, if we are all political beings, once you stop doing politics, politics will do you. That's what one politician said. I want to say that we have to create a situation whereby this imbalance in the system should be corrected. Because if you look carefully, you realize that the President of the Republic is a Francophone. The President of the Senate is a Francophone. The President of the National Assembly is a Francophone. The Social Economic Council Chairperson is a Francophone. The Constitutional Council is a Francophone. You realize that the Secretary General of the President is a Francophone. You see that the Prime Minister, who is an Anglophone, comes in the 7th position. This is total imbalance. I disagree with it, despite the fact that I'm a bona fide member of the CPDM. I disagree with it. We should create a balance whereby, because the 1961 Federal Constitution was very clear that when the president is from a Francophone, the vice president should be Anglophone. And when the president is Anglophone, the vice should be Francophone. So this is actually one of the major causes of the purported Anglophone crisis in this country. Imbalance.
Are you talking about just anybody, or you want someone who represents the values of people in the Northwest and Southwest regions? Because you could still have someone who is English speaking but who doesn't represent the values of the people, and that will still be a problem.
Yes, before we come to that, let us first of all respect the Constitution, when we respect it now, then the people are going to choose from those who are going to present their candidatures, and they will now vote for the person whom they think represents their values, whom they think can represent them valuably. But for me, what I'm trying to say is that, as a matter of fact, what I am saying is that we should come back to that clause of the 1961 Constitution, where when the president is from one part of this country, the second should be from the English part. When the president is from the English part, the second should be from the Francophone part. That is one of those clauses of the Federal Constitution of 1961 that was violated, and that I think that is the fundamental cause of chaos in this country today. And then economically, I think that we have to develop our industrialization, and we are in the course of developing that industrialization. A lot of people are very ignorant in this sector. We have companies that want to come and invest in this country, but there is no energy. There is no good road network. How do they operate? It's not possible. So if you realize in the program of grand realization of the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, he embarked on the infrastructural development. A lot of people are not seeing it, but that's the fact, because we have multinationals who can't come to this country to invest when all those things have not been corrected. We need energy. That's why you see the Memvele, the Lompanga, and so on and so forth. But the projects have all been completed. We are now in the process of distribution of this energy. This energy has to be distributed from Lompanga to Wum. It has to be distributed from Lompanga to Ambe. It has to leave Lompanga.
Where we have them in Chimfol.
Yes, I'll
How
come
will
to
it be
that.
possible to distribute energy from
I'll come to that.
probably to
You have
Wum?
to distribute it from Lompanga to Mora. That's why Sonatrel has been created. Société Nationale de Transport d'Electricité. Not long from now, you will see that this energy problem will no longer exist. They are transferring this energy through poles, taking them from Lompanga to other parts of this country. Because you have companies that have to invest in the Northwest. They cannot invest because they will not have energy there, enough energy. Okay, then next, you have, we needed a deep sea port. You saw the creation of the Kribi deep sea port. You've seen the creation of the Limbe deep sea port. I think its own process of construction will start any time from now. They are still searching for funds. But the Kribi deep sea port is there. We know the Douala seaport is not a deep sea port. So we have machinery that cannot arrive at the Douala deep sea port. It has to be offloaded in the high seas, and they cannot come. So I think in the process of industrialization, the government is doing so much. And then in terms of agriculture, you know, we have a very dynamic agricultural sector, as Apostle Ambe earlier illustrated. But we have a problem of education. The education that was inculcated into Cameroonians by our forefathers, mistakenly or intentionally, was that agriculture was for the poor and for the uneducated. But having gone through the West, where I lived in Europe, the Americas, and what have you, I see that the backbone of their economy is agriculture. The richest people in the community are people who are farmers. But here, we look onto farmers. It is a taboo to be a farmer, because you will look upon as poor, you will be tagged as stupid and primitive. That is the poor education that was handed to us, to some of us, or to Cameroonians. You realize that somebody is even ashamed to tell you that he's a farmer. Whereas farmer is a prestigious trait in the West. So we really have to address this sector so very well, because that is where we can build this economy. He was talking about oil and gas. Oil and gas is just 1/12 of the GDP of this country.
That's what I said.
Oil and gas is just 1/12 of the GDP. Meanwhile, agriculture is 70% of our GDP. Yet our youths are not interested in agriculture. Look at the program that the government created called PAGEU. As a matter of fact, it's a scandal. It's a scandal. They've never said it's a scandal. PAGEU, where the government asks youths of this country to write projects so that the government will finance them in agriculture. Some were fishing, some were piggery, and so on and so forth. And when all these projects were granted, when they paid them the money, they disappeared into thin air. Most of them are in Europe. Those are the people who go to the Cameroon embassy in Europe to strike after they have collected PAGEU money here and disappeared into thin air. So you can see, they think instead of using that money to invest in the projects that they wrote, they used the money to pass through Algeria and whatsoever and went to Europe and then started fighting against the government. So I think the government is doing so much, but what we need to do is to educate Cameroonians and emancipate them. They should understand that we can make it here in Cameroon.
Thank you, Siaka Shuneh. And I'll hand over the microphone to Ndiwum, Emmanuel, Mr. Slow and Steady Facts. I would love you to fix the Anglophone problem, the Anglophone conflict, in 5 minutes, or less in 4 minutes. I think you can fix it in 4 minutes because we are towards solutions right now.
Yes, before I come there, because it's a very sensitive and pertinent one, I want to tell my brother and the senior man, Mr. Shuneh, that when you say Cameroonian youths are not interested in agriculture, I don't know whether they are the youths of Bafut where you come from, or you are talking about the youths of Com where I come from. Because we are so much ready, available, and more interested in agriculture than any other person. But the people who have failed us is the government, because you are talking about Paje U, you have forgotten to talk about the plan, 3 years triennial plan that was given to the youth in Cameroon. And the money ended up in the pockets of people in Yaoundé, Mr. Shuneh. This money never reached the youth. They went to their villages, picked out few family members, gave those people you are saying went abroad. They are the family members of these people who were at the forefront of this project. They handed over the money to the few privileged family members, invested the rest in their private businesses, and those family members went to Europe. That should be said. So we cannot, and then the other thing is that I'll have to thank you for being mature, because when you meet with some of the CBDM members who are still, of course, doing internship in CBDM, who do not know where CBDM is going, whether left or right, they will struggle to defend whatsoever. Coming to your question, Boh, you see, Anglophone problem is something that could be bigger than me, but I will attempt in the next 3 minutes that I left to say my own version of how I think it can be solved. We know that the real problems in Cameroon are coming from the diaspora. That we should say it without fear of favor. What happened that these diasporas should be called diasporans today were the marginalization back home given to them by the government that they were looking up to. Some of them left here because of political witch hunting. Some left simply because they wanted things to be done in the right way. Circumstances forced them to be on the other side of the boundary. While there, they saw how countries were being ruled, being led, developed, how citizens were enjoying, and they thought that back in their country that has all the resources that have been managed, that have been sat on, buried by some people who wants to do everything to preserve one man in power. It led to chaos. Now, how can we talk about solving Anglophone crisis without getting to these people who are in the diaspora? It will be a folklore. So what I think should be done, we have people in prison, Boh Elvis, just because they stood up and spoke of federation in this country. They are still in prison today. Their cases have never been judged. We have people in the diaspora who ran away through forest in Nigeria simply because they asked the government to organize a dialogue. But the government later on chose to organize a CBDM monologue. And the parties involved in the war were never represented there. People saw in this monologue another opportunity for brown envelopes to be flying left and right. The diaspora, who are at the core of this problem, were left out. If you ask President Paul Biya today and his ministers, they know where Ebenezer Akwanga is found. They know where Capo Daniel is found. They know where Ayabacho is found and the rest. Remember, these people all were born as patriotic Cameroonians. Circumstances pushed them to the world. So today, what I think should be done, and as a matter of fact, an urgency, let those people who are innocently languages in Konegi and other prisons facilities in the nation be released. That's one. Two, let those diasporas that have been earmarked by the government as those they must capture, I think clemency should be granted to them. I think so. Because if dialogue with the devil can produce peace, why not dialogue with the devil? I think it's possible. Let me tell you something that most people do not know, especially those who hate Cameroon, because those who hate Cameroon are in Cameroon. They are in Yaoundé. They are not those in the diaspora. Those who want to divide Cameroon are in Yaoundé. They are not in the diaspora. Secessionists and terrorists are in Yaoundé. They are not in diaspora. Now, this is what we have to do. Let those in Yaoundé accept that no, we have terrorized Cameroon for 40 years. And these people have terrorized Cameroon only for 5 years. If you go comparatively, you will see that the regime has terrorized us more than the Ambe diaspora. Because it's 40 years of terrorism. But this was just 5 years.
When you talk of terrorism, what I
terrorizing Cameroonian because I want roads to go to Fundong, but there's no road. And that money has been given to a minister, it has been pocketed. Terrorizing Cameroonian because I want peace, I want to talk peace, I am tortured. Terrorizing Cameroonian because I want electricity. There is no electricity back in my village. Whereas Menchum Fall is there, it has been neglected. That is social and psychological terrorism. Now, to bring these people on board, Boh, before I give you back the microphone, we need to be very frank. Because these people in the diaspora are caught between two sentiments that we don't know. They are caught between the sentiment of frustration and nostalgia. This nostalgia is because these people love home more than where they are today. If you offer Ayabacho a frank plane ticket this night to be in Cameroon, knowing that he will not be arrested and thrown into Koningi, he will be here and he will talk development. So I think there is no way forward in this nation without the diaspora, and Cameroon will not move forward economically, politically, or socially without bringing all these people on board.
Thank you, Ndiwum. Dr. Kojonako, I don't want to limit you to any particular area because I just want to give you 5 minutes so that you get to the board and solve the problems that we've already identified. I don't want to cue you. So you have 5 minutes to solve the problems we have identified.
Yeah, you can imagine that we are talking on a very big platter.
Exactly.
A platter that it is 70 years after independence. The very most problem is that the head of state cannot consult in a local clinic. Again, hospital, he calls a reference hospital constructed and given big names. The head of state still find pleasure to go for a brief visit in Europe for medical report, bilan médical, bilan de santé, bilan de santé. The meaning medical status of how you look like can only be given in Europe.
But sometimes, without defending the head of state, sometimes probably maybe that is where he has a personal doctor he can trust. Because probably you might want to.
I don't want to think that you are afraid of the political quagmire
I'm not.
That surrounds Cameroon. But honestly, we should not be defending the undefendable, because if you have stayed for 40 years in power, I mean, Nelson Mandela died in a local clinic in South Africa. He was sure of what was home, and he knows that wheresoever he's going to be, he will surely die if it is the one that will kill him. And so we don't have trust in our system. Secondly, I mean, medically, Cameroonians are dying every day. Cameroonians are dying every day. I don't want to revisit the case of Vanessa Chanchua at the pedagogic, what they call pediatric hospital in Yaoundé, where a girl put to bed and her child was missing. I don't want to talk of what happened at Hospital La Cantini, where a sister had to operate the other one in the presence of medical hospital because they did not pay the required fee. This is 70 years after independence. Some people maintain huge bank accounts. What has it saved us? The domain of corruption. We have CONAP, we have ANIF, we have Interpol, we have all this. What does it serve a Cameroonian? If people are arrested and kept in prison, the people still take out for sports. They still play their table tennis and long tennis while in prison, then have their boys servants in prison who iron dresses for them and cook for them. Then the money we were still wishing to achieve, we haven't taken over. The fight against corruption is weak. If we have to fix this country today, just imagine that you send me to the presidency, the first is making Article 66 active. We reactivate it with every member of government declaring its assets and telling us where he is and what he's having, how many wives and girlfriends you are having, so that we take stock of that. So this is what we're saying. One of the other issue, education. Education. People don't know. Nelson Mandela said that in order to destroy a nation, it doesn't take us an atomic bomb. If you want to destroy a nation, just change a curriculum. And then you just water or receive it back at the end, the result you put in. Which means equally that in fixing a nation, we need to categorize academics to be one of standards. The moment you put sanctity or sanity into the educational milieu, do we have a reference school, college, or university in Cameroon? Just get online and find where Cameroonian universities and training center falls. Just in Africa, you can't mention it. We can't even, it's not worth admiring. It's not worth admiring. The education is falling. Why? Because in every top educational level, politics still play out. When you go in the Anglo-Saxon culture, the administration of a university is done by the university itself, what we call the university senate. You don't appoint a rector or a chancellor or vice chancellor from a political milieu within the educational setup in the university. That is why we appoint the administrative officials of the university. And they are meant to be apolitical, independent groups to develop it. But today, tell me, the moment you speak, a teacher was arrested somewhere in the south because he used Maurice Kamto as an example in classroom. Where is that consciousness and the free will of teaching? So I should not teach and cite example of people who are not of the ruling party if there is one trait or character that is good in them. That people look at it already as a political alienation, that you are already aligning with a particular political party. Academics is not so. Beautifully, we instruct our candidate. They know what we teach them in class, and they know what the government is doing outside. I remember Patrice Lumumba, when the Belgians, on his verge of being assassinated or killed, he told the Belgians, what I saw you doing is not what you taught me in school. And I will wish that we treat the Congolese as it was taught in school. Why do we change? Why? And so who is fooling who? We need the best schools. Any nation with an emerging academic system is an emerging economy. If we want Cameroon to emerge, we need to change the academic program. We need to sustain academics. That which has served us for centuries. When you go to the university like that in Cairo, people will talk about Ahmadu Bello University or the University of Lagos or University of Abuja or University of Calabar. People mention their names. You want to talk of Waterloo in South Africa, Pretoria University. There are a lot of those names, you see them. A lot of that even in Zimbabwe, you'll be surprised that the university in places like Somalia, Mogadishu have more better standing than Cameroon. Arab Moi University in Kenya speaks better than any other Cameroonian university. When you go to the north, you find the University of Alexandria. They present themselves on the international stage. A Cameroonian has never won a local literature prize. A local literature prize, I'm called locally in Africa. That the best literature in Cameroon has won this. Yes, we need to strengthen academically. Economically, we know the problem. This country is blessed. I'm telling you that the riches of this country agriculturally, I will not get into what maybe Apostle Ambe has mentioned. There is no country as rich as Cameroon, from north to south, east to west. I have never seen a country where you find sunlight in one part of the country, somewhere you find heat, complete heat. There are places that are very cold, extremely cold. That you find somewhere rains. In one small country, Mr. Shuneh talked here of about 4,700 kilometers square. Just imagine, we have all this in one. We call it Africa in miniature. People need to visit Cameroon. There is no country in Africa with water. I mean water resource. Water which is an instrument of development. We don't know. Go and tap. Look at what the people from United Arab Emirates are doing. People tap water from the sea to water flowers. We don't know it. People tap water from the sea in Saudi Arabia to drink. You find pipes pass like veins in somebody's skin. Small pipes throughout the country, like veins in your body to irrigate, to water places to make them look fresh. And we go there to find them beautiful. Dubai economic plan started in 1970. It has taken them 30 years. Everybody, the proud destination is Dubai. We are not talking of Singapore. Cameroon was better off than these countries I'm talking. Cameroon was better off than Singapore. Cameroon was better off than South Korea. But imagine what has killed. Leadership without vision. Leadership without vision. People are leading, but they are not capable of being leaders. A leader should be one that has the nation at heart, and that I can take you to the right direction. We can sincerely take the problems enough, and I just want to insist, One of the things that will be disturbing the strength of this nation is the lack of that what we call the Republican spirit in the forces of law and order. A nation was meant to be a nation, and that the military to serve the interests of all, not the interest of a single being. If we should come into building a nation, it happens in Egypt that RCC president today asked Hosni Mubarak that the demands of the people are legitimate, and that if you can't fix it, then leave it. The same in Algeria. And so the military is one of the instruments that have suppressed Cameroonians. Can they be trained in school to be human enough and respect the wishes and rights of Cameroonians? We can condole a strike action, not to destroy. The military has that capability that you can strike. We can even stay on the street for 2 years. If the military is professional, they will still maintain their lines and will continue staying there. If the 2 years can take us and bring us a result that we want, it's the legitimate right. The Constitution is aware that the right to a civil process is a basic right, and that every Cameroonian should have be given access to it. Not when CPDM protests and SDM cannot match or MRC.
Thank you, Dr. Kojanako. Apostle Ambe, you have 5 minutes to solve Cameroon problems, and then we're going to read messages and conclude the program.
Yes, Mr.
And of course, after we will get the reaction from Shuneh, after you must have solved the problems, we'll get the reaction from Shuneh, then read messages and conclude the program.
Yes, we have outlined a lot of problems in the nation, and we are practically giving solutions to this problem. I think the strength of every nation is not even its natural resources. The strength of every nation is its human resource. No matter how rich we may be in this country in terms of natural resources, if the human resource is not given the opportunity, we cannot go anywhere. We have a serious problem with human resource in the country. Not that they are not available. They are available, but they are not given the privilege and the opportunities to exploit what is inside of them. When you explain that in the administrative sector of the country and the public exam that enrolls administrators into the national school that trains administrators come from a particular tribe, what do you expect the 9 other regions to do? When ENAM is written, out of 30 people that passed, 28 are from the south. Are they telling us that the most intelligent Cameroonians are from the south? Now a whole batch of an administrative institute that's going to run the country in the future comes from a particular community. How do you expect the 9 other regions of the country to contribute to national reconstruction? That's a serious problem. So I think we have a serious challenge with the area of tribalism, nepotism, regional integration. And if these things are not dealt, I'm talking about human resource challenges. Name me the iron ore, the gold, the silver, the tanzanite, the uranium, and the cocoa, the coffee, the pepper, and everything put together. I'm letting you understand that if we carry all the resources of Africa and bring to Cameroon and dump here, and we lack the human resource to manage these natural resources, we are going nowhere. The reason why there's so much natural resource in Cameroon and there is still poverty and high level of poverty and frustration is because we have a challenge in managing human resource. Most of the young men who had the privilege to study out of the country and come back here with the expertise of what they have gathered outside are not given the privilege to manage responsibilities, because it is not what you know, and what you can contribute is who you know. I think if we broke out of tribalism and nepotism, we're going to give people the opportunity to exploit certain talents that they have in them to make the nation grow. And this is where the trouble is. You move in some offices in Cameroon, you hear people speaking their dialect. It looks like that particular office is this tribe's office. Is this particular community that owns the office. From the boss right down, they are speaking by their dialect. And when you come there and speak in another language in that particular office, you appear like a stranger in your own country. Tribalism is supposed to be dealt with severely. When it comes to regional integration, I think when it comes to the 10 regions of this country, what about integration, people should be given equal opportunity in order to access certain positions in the country. We should be able to select the best. If you go to America, there are states that are distinguished in particular skill in life. You go to Philadelphia, that's an industrial area. When you talk about technology, that's where the technocrats in the area of technology are positioned. We exploit the best human beings to make the country a better place. Look in Cameroon very well, you will discover that every region in this country has a uniqueness. I want to believe that when it comes to technology in this country, the Northwest man is very strong. Local mechanics who take vehicles,
that are shattered. You give it to a local mechanic who has not gone to any polytechnic. He will take that vehicle and transport it and give it. Tell you that there is something in these people that has to do with technology. And this is what we have not been able to exploit. The young guys from Banso attempted constructing an helicopter in this country, and attention was not given to them. There's another young man who attempted producing, making an aircraft, Caterpillar aircraft, all those things. That technological mentality, why don't we see it? Because I believe white people, they always look at the way children manifest and be able to know what the children aspire to become in the future. They take that thing in them and develop them. But you see, because of tribalism, we take people who are not competent, people who are not effective, and those who are not efficient, and give them responsibility. Because why? We believe if somebody occupies an office, is to eat and enjoy himself rather than build a nation. We should send nation builders in particular places, not individuals who go and feed their stomach. Number two, the political terrain of Cameroon is very, very bad. Very, very bad. If we are doing true politics in Cameroon, I will let you understand that politics is interactive. Politics is exposed to everybody. Politics gives access to anybody to come from nowhere and become a leader. Before John Pombe Magufuli became president of Tanzania, he was a minister of labor, public works. That gave him the name bulldozer as a minister in that level whereby people could see a leader in a particular area. We know leaders who are in this country who have been given opportunity in particular municipalities, giving opportunity in certain offices. They manifested their skill. Not everybody in the government is corrupt. Not everybody in the system has failed. There are individuals, if you go and trace their track record, they are very excellent. There are judges in this Cameroon who don't collect bribe. Why don't we make them ministers of justice? There are individuals in this country in the area of economy. They have managed resources from nothing to something. Why don't you get an opportunity? If Michel Fosso took Cameco and turned it into a multi-million organization, but because of nepotism, he's been thrown behind bars. The next generation that have come to occupy that particular thing has caused Cameco to be called air petet. Air petet means you can get the flight and you cannot get the flight. Now you had a man called Fonjinam who was managing Chantier Naval, an industrial guru that came from Forba University in Sierra Leone. Fonjinam came from Forba University in Sierra Leone with this mechanical engineering, and took Chantier Naval from nothing. We remember in those days, young men from Form 4 in Ambe. Before you leave Ambe Form 4, you're already getting a job to be earning 250,000 francs. But today it has vanished into oblivion because tribalism, nepotism. They took men who are not competent because of a particular tribe and gave them the opportunity. It frustrated that particular sector of the country. We have men in this country who manage the agricultural sector of this country, and there was a boom in those days concerning the Green Revolution. People like John Foncha, John Mangu, Minister of Agriculture. There was a boom in the industrial revolution, Green Revolution in this country, where cooperatives were everywhere. It was cocoa farmers and coffee farmers that determined the price of products. Today, we don't even know. We don't even know who is managing what and who is managing what. People don't even have the desire to go to farm again. When I hear Mr. Shuneh tell us that people were wrongly educated concerning agriculture, let me tell you, agriculture was a pride of most people from the East and West Cameroon in those days, because coffee, cocoa was what grew most of us. Most of our parents grew up in CDC, working in the palms and the banana and the rubber plantation. It's agriculture that raised most of us. So we grew with that mentality, knowing that the strength of everybody starts with the farm, because that is the only place you get an employment with any certificate. So when we talk about agriculture, it is in our system. You don't need to obtain a first degree to become a farmer. But to be a banker, you must obtain a degree. Our fathers sold palm wines, they mill oil, and trained doctors and professors. Today, professors cannot produce professors. What's wrong? People sold palm wine in those days, sold vegetables. They mill oil to train you and I. Your father was a local farmer. My father is a local farmer. But they trained us to become responsible, educated men today. But today we have professors who cannot produce men after their kind. What is wrong? Something is wrong with the human resource of the country. And we have to get back to the educational system. Do you know that every year we are producing doctors to go and lecture? To go and lecture.
Thank you, Apostle Ambe. Shuneh, your last word before I read messages and we close the show.
All right, Mr. Boh. My final solution is that we have to go back to the drawing board. We have to harmonize our socio-cultural and economic policies, considering the fact that where are we coming from? You know that West Cameroon and East Cameroon were trustee territories, and the British inculcated into citizens of West Cameroon the spirit of the rule of law, where implies that you are innocent until proven guilty. Meanwhile, in the French system, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent. These two people grew up like that, inherited that culture, inherited that tradition. Then we came into unity as a unity state. We have not harmonized those two contradictory systems of operation, but we want to live as one and indivisible. It becomes very difficult and complicated. Because we are two people, we claim to be united, but we have two different cultures, two different backgrounds, two different forms of education, two different understandings of the same thing. So if we harmonize it, you see that we'll live in peace and tranquility. And I want to call on the, is it Peter Mafani Musonge, who is there now, the National Commission for Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. This is the fundamental role that they have to play. If I was a member of that commission, this is the fundamental role. Harmonize these two people, let them identify themselves as one, and together we'll be stronger.
Thank you, Siaka Shuneh. Let me read some messages and we close the show. The problem of Cameroon is that of mentality. To fix Cameroon, we need to begin with the mentality of the people, from the government right down to the least person. If we don't do mental purification, then we are bound to remain stagnant. Greetings to all in the studio. I'm watching live from Bonaberry. That is Adrian watching live from Bonaberry. Cameroon is one of the best countries in the world, blessed with natural resources and a very fertile soil, if not the most fertile in Africa. The problem we have in Cameroon is the lack of the will to do the right thing. All our leaders lack the will, and those who have the will don't have the power. If the leaders have the will, Cameroon can change within the twinkle of an eye, because we have all it takes. Austin writing us from China. Greetings to all panelists and to the anchorman Boh. Regarding the topic, Cameroon needs credible and inclusive institutions. That is Ben Toko writing us from Finland. Wesley Angoni says, to my CPDM brother, I will say the contrary. A people who do not know or look back into history cannot know where they are heading. Any Southern Cameroonian who thinks that solutions have been provided to solve the problems in the Southern Cameroons, he or she, it must be delusional. All the international airports, seaports, private enterprises, power companies, PWD, etc., without adding anything, they destroyed, and all what we had. What a lot of people are not aware about crude oil in Cameroon is that Cameroon is an oil-rich country. The only problem why she is not considered as an oil-rich country is that because France has control over Cameroon's natural resources and sells Cameroon's raw materials in the world market. Cameroon is often seen as less than Nigeria oil-producing country. That is a myth. Cameroon's crude oil is loaded into France ships and sent to France without knowledge of the people of the Cameroons. That is from Wesley, Dr. Wesley. Greetings to all the panelists, more especially to my father, Dr. Ako John Ako. My statement is that let the ministers of this nation should correct themselves and remember that they are serving Cameroonians. Let our leaders at the helm of office discover the uniqueness of the 10 regions of Cameroon. Let's go back to the drawing board. David writing from Limbe. Good afternoon to all. I love your program. May God continue to bless. The person did not send a name. Leaders are not rulers. When the people of Israel asked God for a leader, God himself anointed Samuel. That's from a viewer. I wouldn't continue because you didn't send your name. Hello, good day. This is Blaze from Bonaberry. All these are due to poor training of the security in place and poor road planning. The roads should be wide and security put in place should be well trained. Greetings to all the King Solomons in the studio. Yakubu watching from Bafmen. I think that should be all, ladies and gentlemen. I think we should come to the end of the show. Dr. Ako John Ako, I want to thank you so much for coming today. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your input on 90 Minutes in Africa.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure talking on 90 Minutes in Africa, one of the highest programs, greatest, highly watched within the African continent and the world. Here we fix Africa. Today we fix Cameroon. It's a pleasure once more, and good afternoon to His Excellency President Paul Biya.
Ndiwum Emmanuel, I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for your availability and your commitment to 90 Minutes in Africa. Today we have succeeded to fix Cameroon in 90 minutes.
Yes, commitment reaffirmed. You know, it's always a pleasure, especially when you share the platform with finest brains. So my last word will be to the authority of this nation. Take yourselves as the servants and not the masters of the nation. And remember, dialogue is less costly than war. Cameroon do not produce ammo cars, no bulletproofs. But go to Bamenda, go to Boya. You will discover that ammo cars are littered on the streets of Boya more than the yellow taxis that are supposed to carry the human beings to and from the job site. So remember, history shall judge you tomorrow by what you are doing today. War is more costly than dialogue.
Mr. Siaka Shuneh, I want to thank you so much for your time. This was your first time on 90 Minutes in Africa. We hope you enjoyed being here.
I enjoyed so much, and I thank you for this opportunity you gave me. And I think that next time I'll be more inspired to come and contribute towards building the African nation. And then for Cameroon, I think that national unity and integration is a reality. We will just have to fix the wrongs and make sure we live together as one.
Thank you. Apostle Ambe, our consultant in the house, I want to thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Elvis. Thank you, Cameroonians, and always a joy to be here. Stay blessed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, today we have succeeded in fixing Cameroon in 90 minutes, and we are receiving requests from many other African nations. Someone has just sent us a message that he wants the panelists to fix Nigeria. So start sending us problems in Nigeria and sending us all what you think we can do to fix Nigeria. And then also, if you're a panelist who wants to talk in this program, feel free to contact us using the number you find on your screen. When we were growing up, there was a program in Cameroon known as Let the People, on Cameroon Calling, and there was a slot in that program known as Let the People Speak. And of course, we add there that when the people speak, let those in power listen. Today's edition of the program, 90 Minutes in Africa, produced by Ewane, coordinated by Kum Leonard, and supervised by Brian Tambe. At the microphone, I am Boh Elvis. Thanking you for watching. See you on Saturday, God willing. Bye-bye.